Disclaimer: watch at your own risk. Tonight, we wander into shadows best left undisturbed. If you survive, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Your support fuels the next descent into darkness. On May 7, 2007, in Kozin, a small Czech town of 10,000 in South Moravia, Eduard Trdy, 34, born 1973, sat in his living room on a quiet street, adjusting a new video baby monitor for his newborn son, Tomáš. The house, a modest two-story with beige walls, smelled of fresh paint and baby formula. Eduard, a factory worker with short brown hair and tired eyes, fiddled with the monitor's channels, the screen flickering in the dim light. His wife, Hannah, 32, born 1975, rocked Tomáš in the nursery, her soft humming carrying through the thin wall. At 8:15 p.m., the monitor crackled, and instead of Tomáš's crib, the screen showed a dark basement, concrete walls damp, a single bulb swinging. A boy, naked, about 8 years old, sat on the floor, his hands bound with duct tape, his thin legs kicking a roll of tape, his body covered in filth, bruises purple on his pale skin, his blonde hair matted with sweat and dirt. Eduard froze, his heart pounding, thinking it was a glitch, but the basement's layout, cracked concrete, rusted pipes, looked like his neighbor's house at 112 Masaryk Street, owned by Klara Marova, who was 31 years old, university educated, single mother. Eduard ran to the window, peering at Klara's house, its curtains drawn, no lights up. Klara, a quiet woman with dark hair and glasses, lived with her two sons, Andrei, 8, born 1999, and Jakub, 10, born 1997, and an adopted daughter, Anna, 13, born 1994, supposedly a Ukrainian orphan. Eduard had seen Andrei playing soccer in the yard, his smile bright, but lately the boys were absent, Klara saying they were at a relative. At 8:30 p.m., Eduard called the Kozin police, his voice shaking. "There's a kid tied up on my baby monitor. It's not mine." Officer Petr Novak, 40, born 1967, arrived at 8:45 p.m., watching the grainy feed. Andrei's wrists red from tape, his body shivering, a bucket of urine in the corner, blood crusting on his knees. Novak radioed for backup, and by 9:00 p.m., 3 officers, including Jana Kopeka, 35, born 1972, knocked on Klara's door. No answer. Klara's sister, Katarzyna Maurova, 28, born 1979, a former children's home worker, opened it, her face pale, claiming, "No kids are here." Novak demanded entry, but a locked cellar door stopped them. Firefighters arrived at 9:30 p.m., breaking it down with an axe, wood splintering, revealing a stench of mold and blood. In the cellar, Andrei lay on the concrete, naked, duct tape cutting into his wrists and ankles, his body skeletal, weighing only 50 pounds, his ribs visible, burns on his arms from cigarettes, blood oozing from a fresh cut on his thigh. Flesh missing, the wound jagged. Meanwhile, Jakub, 10, was in a cage, his knees bruised, his dark hair tangled, his eyes hollow, a gag in his mouth, blood dripping from his nose. Klara, crying, screamed, "They're my boys. I was protecting them." Katarzyna, silent, stared at the floor. Police found a baby monitor camera bolted to the ceiling, its red light blinking, feeding images to Clara's kitchen TV. Handcuffed, the sisters were taken to the station. Andre and Jakub rushed to Brno University Hospital, their bodies weak, skin peeling from malnutrition, blood tests showing anemia and infections. Anna was sent to a children's home, her silence unnerving. By May 8, police searched the house, finding blood-stained knives, a meat cleaver, and a notebook with cryptic symbols, triangles, crosses, and numbers linked to the Grail movement, a cult Clara and Katarzyna joined in 2005. Led by a man named the Doctor, real name Josef Schwey, 50, born 1957, a former math teacher turned mystic. The notebook detailed purification rituals, ordering the boys starvation, beatings, and cuts to cleanse their souls. Blood on the cleaver matched Andre's, a piece of his thigh flesh found in a freezer, wrapped in plastic. Labeled meat, neighbors whispered, leaving flowers by the house, shocked at Clara's calm demeanor. She'd brought cookies to a school event weeks ago. At the station, Clara confessed by 2:00 a.m., her voice flat. The doctor said their sins needed pain. Katarzyna admitted burning Andre with cigarettes, saying it was for his spirit. They claimed Anna was innocent, just a witness. But her Ukrainian orphan story unraveled. No records existed. On May 10th, Anna vanished from the children's home, her bed empty, a window open. Police tracked her to Brno, then lost her. On June 1st, Norwegian police arrested a 12-year-old boy named Adam in Oslo, traveling alone, bald, with a fake passport. DNA tests revealed Adam was Barbara Shkrlova, 33, born 1974, a Czech woman with a glandular disorder making her look like a child. Barbara, a Grail movement member, had posed as Anna, manipulating Clara into abusing her sons, claiming to be a holy child sent by the doctor. Barbara had shaved her head, gained weight, and fled to Norway, living as a boy until caught. Her 6 personalities, diagnosed later, included Anna and Adam. Her mind fractured, doctors said. Kojim reeled, the local paper calling it a town's nightmare. Photos of Andre's soccer ball left in the yard. The trial began on January 15, 2008, in Brno Regional Court. Crowds spilling outside. TV crews filming. Prosecutor Martin Cherney, 45, born 1963, showed jurors the cleaver, blood-crusted, and monitor footage of Andre, his cries muffled, his body twitching as Katarzyna cut his arm, blood dripping to the floor. Clara's lawyer, Petra Nowotna, 38, born 1970, argued she was brainwashed by the doctor, a single mother desperate for meaning after her husband left in 2004. Katarzyna's lawyer, Lukasz Marek, 35, born 1973, claimed she followed her sister, too weak to resist. Barbara, extradited from Norway, testified, her voice childlike. I was Anna. Medical reports detailed Andre's partial skinning, his thigh flesh removed while alive, blood loss nearly fatal, and Jakub's broken ribs from beating. Both boys, in foster care, testified via video. Andre whispering, Mom said it was God's will. Jakub crying, I just wanted food. On June 19, 2008, Clara and Katarzyna got 9 and 10 years for aggravated child abuse and torture. Barbara 5 years for complicity. Vacay 7 years for orchestrating it, all convicted of cult-driven crimes. The Grail movement, with 10,000 members across Europe and Africa, was exposed as a splinter sect. Its Ants faction led by Vacay, preaching pain as salvation, using children as vessels. Courgine's residents shunned the house, its windows boarded. Blood stains lingering on the cellar floor. Andre and Jakub, adopted by a Brno couple, bore scars. Andre's limp, Jakub's nightmares. Barbara, released in 2012, vanished, her location unknown, doctors citing her psychosis. The case inspired a 2009 Czech film, The Case of 666, showing a fictionalized cellar, blood pooling under a chained boy, chilling viewers. Clara, Katarzyna, and Barbara, their names cursed in Courgine, left a town forever scarred by the cellar's blood and a baby monitor's accidental truth. As this horror grips Courgine, another darkness brews in a nearby village. In September 2010, in Yonkers, New York, the leaves were turning red at Sarah Lawrence College, a small campus with 1,700 students, where Slonim Woods 9, a 2-story brick dorm, housed 8 sophomores. Talia Ray, 19, born March 15, 1991, a confident brunette with a loud laugh, shared the apartment-style dorm with her boyfriend, Santos Rosario, 19, born April 2, 1991, a quiet psychology major from the Bronx, and 6 others, including Claudia Drury, June 10, 1991, a shy blonde from Los Angeles, and Isabella Polla, 19, born August 20, 1991, Talia's best friend, a dancer with dark eyes. The dorm smelled of pizza and laundry detergent, posters of Bob Marley and Cosmos on the walls. Larry Ray, 50, born November 16, 1959, Talia's father, a burly man with short gray hair and a disarming smile, moved in after his release from a New Jersey prison for securities fraud, sleeping on an air mattress in Talia's room. He'd served 19 days in the Air Force in 1978, dishonorably discharged, and claimed ties to the CIA and mobsters, spinning tales of saving Talia from her abusive mother. The college didn't know he was there, the dorm's private setup hiding him. Larry cooked spaghetti dinners, the sauce simmering, filling the dorm with garlic, and listened to the students' dreams. His voice soft, eyes intense. He called his sessions Quest for Potential, or Q4P, promising to fix their fears. By October, he held nightly hot seat talks, grilling Claudia about her childhood, her voice shaking as she confessed to bullying, Larry nodding, saying, "I'll help you heal." Santos, smitten with Talia, believed Larry's stories of being framed by ex-NYPD Commissioner Bernard Carrick, 55, born September 4, 1955, for exposing corruption. Larry showed them a photo with Mikhail Gorbachev, claiming he'd brokered a Kosovo ceasefire in 1999. His charm masking his 2006 arrest for pinning a girlfriend, her breath cut off, case dismissed. By November, Claudia stopped calling her parents, her phone off, Larry saying they'd poisoned her mind. Isabella, once bubbly, grew quiet, her eyes down, sleeping beside Larry's air mattress, her dance shoes untouched. Her dance shoes. In spring 2011, Larry moved the group to a Manhattan apartment on East 93rd Street, a cramped two-bedroom costing $3,000 a month, paid by Santos's savings, his hands shaking as he handed over $5,000, believing he owed Larry for damaging him. Larry's sessions grew darker, accusing Claudia of stealing $10,000. Her face pale, denying it, but Larry played a recorded confession she didn't recall making. Her voice slurred, eyes glassy from sleepless nights. He tied her to a chair, plastic bag over her head, her gasps loud, nearly suffocating, her wrists red from ropes, blood trickling from a cut. Santos watched, frozen, his heart racing, as Larry screamed, "You poisoned me!" Claudia, sobbing, agreed to work at a sex club to repay him. Her first night in March 2012, her body trembling, earning $500, Larry taking it, his hands counting bills, Larry taking it, his hands counting bills, her eyes empty. By 2013, she'd paid him $1.70 million from prostitution, her body bruised, her mind numb, explicit videos Larry shot stored on his laptop, her naked body shaking in grainy footage. Larry brought Santos's sisters, Felicia Rosario, 27, born May 12, 1983, a medical student, and Yalitza Rosario, 22, born July 8, 1988, a teacher, to the apartment. He accused them of plotting with Carrick to poison him, showing fake texts, their names forged. Felicia, once confident, cried, her hands shaking, as Larry made her scrub floors at 3:00 a.m., her knees raw, blood on the tiles from a cut foot. Yalitza, locked in a closet for hours, her screams muffled, scratched her arms, blood under her nails, attempting suicide twice, pills spilled on the bathroom floor. In 2013, Larry took Claudia, Isabella, Felicia, and Yalitza to his stepfather's property in Pinehurst, North Carolina, a sprawling house with a locked fridge. He forced them to dig trenches at midnight, their hands blistered, blood on shovels, no pay, Larry yelling, "You owe me!" He hit Santos with a hammer, his skull bruised, blood matting his hair, threatening to shatter it, Santos's eyes wide, begging. By 2014, Daniel Barban Levin, 20, born January 5, 1993, a wiry literature major who dated Isabella, joined them, his savings drained, $20,000 gone to Larry, who claimed Daniel poisoned his food. Daniel, on his knees, sobbed as Larry held a knife, the blade glinting, threatening to dismember him, blood from a nick on Daniel's arm. Claudia's prostitution escalated, her body sold in hotel rooms, her earnings wired to Larry, who bought a $50,000 car, his hands gripping the wheel, laughing. Isabella, now Larry's lieutenant, recorded confessions, her voice cold, helping tie Claudia's ropes, her hands steady, blood on the knot. Felicia, in a 2015 trial against Carrick, testified about a conspiracy involving her grandfather, her voice breaking, lies fed by Larry, her eyes hollow. The group lived in fear, Larry's belt cracking on Santos' back, blood welts rising, his screams echoing in the apartment. In April 2019, New York Magazine published The Stolen Kids of Sarah Lawrence, exposing Larry's cult, sparked by a tip from a Sarah Lawrence alum, Raven, 21, born March 3, 1998, who'd seen Claudia's despair. 1998. The article detailed Larry's abuse, quoting Claudia's deleted essay, "He never abandoned me," her words twisted by Larry. The FBI investigated, raiding Larry's Piscataway, New Jersey, home on February 11, 2020, finding 15 terabytes of data, 150,000 audio files, explicit videos of Claudia, her naked body exposed, Larry's voice commanding. Her naked body exposed, Larry's voice commanding. He was arrested in bed with Isabella, her face blank, charged with sex trafficking, extortion, forced labor, and money laundering, bail denied. Santos, Felicia, Yalitza, Claudia, and Daniel testified at the Manhattan federal court trial, starting March 10, 2022, before Judge Louis Lyman. Prosecutor Danielle Sassoon, 38, born 1984, showed jurors videos of Claudia's torture, her gasps, audible blood on her wrists, and Santos' hammer wounds, his skin purple. Larry's lawyer, Allegra Glasshauser, 45, born 1977, called it a storytelling group, not a cult, but jurors saw Larry's control, his smile chilling. Claudia testified, her voice low, about earning $2.50 million from sex work, Larry taking $1.70 million. Her body sold 300 nights a year, her thighs bruised, blood on hotel sheets. Santos spoke of losing his family, his voice cracking. "I thought about suicide daily." Felicia and Yalitza described their scars. Felicia's hands trembling. "Public restrooms make me see him." Yalitza's suicide attempts, her wrists scarred. Attempts, her wrists scarred. Blood on her sleeves. Daniel's memoir, Slonim Woods 9, detailed his escape in 2013, his knees shaking, blood from a cut lip. Isabella, charged as a co-conspirator, pleaded guilty to money laundering in 2022, sentenced to 4.5 years on February 22, 2023. Her eyes down, once a victim, now complicit. On April 6, 2022, Larry was convicted on all 15 counts: racketeering, sex trafficking, extortion, sentenced January 20, 2023 to 60 years. Judge Lyman calling his crimes evil, Larry impassive, his gray hair thin. The campus reeled. Students leaving flowers at Slonim Woods, the dorm quiet, its halls smelling of bleach. Sarah Lawrence faced a 2023 lawsuit from Santos, Felicia, and their brother, alleging negligence, the college claiming they cooperated with the FBI type. A Hulu docuseries, Stolen Youth, aired February 9, 2023, showing Larry's videos, Claudia's tears, blood on her chair. Daniel's memoir sold 10,000 copies, his words raw. Claudia, now 31, lived in hiding, her body scarred, mind fractured, unable to work. Felicia and Yalitza rebuilt lives, their hands still shaking, blood memories lingering. Talia, uncharged, vanished, her role unclear, profiting from Larry's crimes, her prosecutors. Yonkers mourned, the college's idyllic image tainted, the New York Times calling it a cult in the suburbs. Larry Ray, 65, sits in prison, his 60-year sentence ensuring he'll die behind bars, his victims' blood and tears his legacy. As this nightmare scars Sarah Lawrence, another horror brews in a nearby city. On January 12, 2022, in Salt Lake City, Utah, Jifan Dong, 19, born April 3rd, 2002, an international student from China, sat in her dorm room at Callard Village, a modern brick building on the University of Utah campus. Its windows fogged from the winter chill. The room smelled of instant noodles and jasmine tea, her desk cluttered with biology textbooks and a photo of her parents in Beijing. Jifan, petite with long black hair tied in a ponytail, wore a red sweater, her hands shaking as she typed a text to her boyfriend, Hoyu Wang, 26, born July 15, 1995, another Chinese student studying engineering. "Why did you hit me?" she wrote, her eyes wet, her left cheek still stinging from the slap he'd given her that morning in his off-campus apartment on 500 South Street, a $1,200 a month rental with peeling paint and a creaky floor. Hoyu, tall with short-cropped hair, had grabbed her arm, leaving purple bruises, blood under her skin, after she confronted him about late-night texts to another woman, his phone buzzing with messages she couldn't read. Their fight, loud enough to wake neighbors, ended with Jifan running out, her coat unbuttoned, snow soaking her sneakers. At 10:00 a.m., Jifan called the Salt Lake City Police Department, her voice trembling, reporting the assault. Officer Emily Carter, 32nd, born 1989, arrived at Hoyu's apartment, finding him calm, his hands in his pockets, denying everything, saying Jifan fell. Carter arrested him, cuffs snapping on his wrists, booking him for misdemeanor domestic violence. His mugshot showing a blank stare. "Donate females," added Jifan, at the station, showed her bruises, blood crusting on her arm where his nails dug in, her cheek swollen, red marks clear. Released on $5,000 bail, Hoyu texted her at 3:00 p.m. "I'm sorry, let's talk." But Jifan, scared, blocked his number, her fingers shaking on her phone. On January 14th, she emailed the University Housing Department, her words careful, detailing the assault and Hoyu's arrest, begging for a dorm change, her room too close to his friends in Callard Village. Housing staff, led by Supervisor Karen Holt, 45, born 1977, misfiled the email, confusing Jifan's name with Hoyu's, and called another student, a different Hoyu Wang, 22, born 1999, leaving a voicemail for the wrong person. The mix-up buried in paperwork. By January 20th, Hoyu was back at Jifan's dorm, knocking at 9:00 p.m., his voice soft through the door. "I love you. Forgive me." Jifan, heart racing, let him in, her fear mixed with hope. Their 3-year relationship started in Beijing, continued in Utah, clouding her judgment. He hugged her, his hands gentle, but his eyes hard, promising to change. She stayed quiet, her bruises fading, but her trust broken, blood still rushing in her ears. On January 25th, he texted again, "Meet me at my place," and Jifan, against her gut, went, finding him drunk, a bottle of Beiju on the table, the room smelling of alcohol and sweat. He yelled, "You're nothing without me," grabbing her throat, her breath cut off, blood vessels bursting in her eyes, her nails scratching his arm, drawing blood. She escaped, running to a friend's dorm, her neck red, blood speckling her collar, but didn't report it, fearing deportation her F1 visa fragile. On February 1st, Jifon emailed, housing again, her words desperate. He's following me. Please help. Holt's team, still confusing her with Hoyu, didn't flag the email to campus police. Their database mixing Chinese names in Chinese names. A glitch from outdated software. Jifan, alone, stopped going to classes, her biology notes untouched, her phone off to avoid Hayu's call. On February 10th, she saw him outside Cowlard Village, his black jacket stark against the snow, watching her from the parking lot, his breath visible. She locked her door, her heart pounding, blood rushing to her face, and called her mother, Li Mei, 48, born 1974, in Beijing, crying, "He won't leave me alone." Li Mei, a teacher, urged her to tell campus police, but Jifan scared of Hoyu's threats to ruin her family, stayed silent, her hands trembling, blood under her nails from nervous scratching. On February 11, 2022, at 8:00 p.m., Hoyu waited in Jifan's dorm hallway, his hands in his coat, a 6-inch kitchen knife hidden in his sleeve, bought for $10 at a Walmart on February 9th, its blade sharp, glinting under the fluorescent light. Jifan opened her door, heading to the laundry room, her basket heavy with clothes. Hoyu grabbed her, his hand over her mouth, dragging her to a stairwell, her muffled screams echoing, her nails clawing his face, drawing blood. He stabbed her, the knife plunging into her chest, blood spraying the concrete wall, her red sweater soaking red, her lungs punctured, blood bubbling in her throat. She fell, her body limp, blood pooling under her, her eyes wide, lifeless by 8:05 p.m. Hoyu fled, the knife in his pocket, blood dripping on the stairs, caught on a security camera, his face clear, his jacket stained. A janitor, Maria Lopez, 50, born 1972, found Jifan at 8:15 p.m., her scream alerting students, blood slick on the floor, Jifan's phone shattered beside her. Campus police, led by Officer David Reed, 40, born 1982, arrived at 8:20 p.m., the stairwell reeking of iron, Jifan's body cold, 12 stab wounds counted, blood matting her hair. Paramedics rushed her to University Hospital, her pulse gone, pronounced dead at 8:45 p.m., her blood staining the stretcher. Hoyu was arrested at his apartment at 10:00 p.m., blood on his knife, his hands shaking, confessing, "I lost control. She betrayed me." His blood-stained jacket, found in a dumpster, matched Jifan's DNA, the knife's blade etched with her blood. The campus shut down, students leaving flowers at Cowlard Village, red petals on snow, Jifan's photo, smiling in a Beijing park, on every news channel, Kutvi calling it Utah's second tragedy. On February 12th, housing staff finally flagged Jifan's January emails to campus police, admitting their error, the name mix-up exposed, the wrong Hoyu Wang contacted thrice, never responding. Jifan's parents, Li Mai and Dong Wai, 50, born 1972, flew from Beijing, landing February 14th, collapsing at the morgue, Jifan's body pale, her chest stitched, blood drained, her face bruised. They hired Parker and McConkie, the law firm that won $13.50 million for Lauren McCluskey's family in 2020 after Lauren, 24, born 1997, a track star, was shot by her ex, Melvin Rowland, 37, born 1981. Her 20-year harassment reports to campus police ignored. Her blood found in a parking lot, 7 bullets in her body. The Dong sued for $10 million, alleging negligence, the university's failure to act on Jifan's emails costing her life. Blood on their hands. Hoyu's trial began September 5, 2022, in Salt Lake County District Court. Judge Paul Parker, 55, born 1967, presiding. Prosecutor Aaron Walsh, 38, born 1984, showed jurors the knife, blood crusted on the blade, and stairwell footage. Jifan's screams audible, her blood pooling. Walsh presented Jifan's emails, her bruises photographed January 12, blood under her skin, and texts from Hoyu, "You'll pay for leaving me." Jifan's friend, Mei Chan, 20, born 2002, testified, sobbing, she was scared. Sobbing, she was scared. He followed her everywhere. Hoyu's lawyer, Michael Jensen, 45, born 1977, argued temporary insanity, claiming Hoyu's stress as an international student snapped him. No prior violence, blood only from that night. Jurors saw Jifan's autopsy photos, her chest torn, blood in her lungs, 12 wounds mapped. On September 20th, Hoyu was convicted of first-degree murder, sentenced to life without parole. On November 10, 2022, his face blank, handcuffs tight, blood no longer on his hands, but in his memory. The university issued an apology on February 15, 2022, admitting the name mix-up, firing Holt, retraining staff, but protests erupted. 500 students marching, holding signs, "Justice for Jifan," red paint symbolizing her blood on banners. Lee May, speaking to the Salt Lake Tribune, cried, "My daughter's blood is on their negligence." The case echoed Lawrence. Her mother, Jill McCluskey, 55, born 1967, joining the Dongs, their lawsuit citing the same failures. Ignored report. Blood spilled. Daylight no dia. Sick this. Social media exploded. #Jifandong trending on X. Posts with 50,000 likes demanding reform. A red candle emoji for her blood. The university installed new cameras, hired 10 more campus police, and fixed the database, but trust was broken. Coward Village quiet. Jifan's dorm room empty, her tea cold. Jifan's blood, spilled in a stairwell, haunts her parents, her red sweater a memory of a life stolen by violence and neglect. As this tragedy scars Salt Lake City, another horror unfolds in a nearby town. On August 8, 1969, in Los Angeles, California, the clock struck 11:00 p.m. in the hills of Benedict Canyon, where a sprawling mansion at Cielo Drive stood, its white walls glowing under the moon. Inside, Sharon Tate, 26, born January 24, 1943, a blonde actress 8 months pregnant with her first child, lounged on her bed in a floral nightgown, her blonde hair loose, her belly round, blood pulsing through her veins. Her husband, director Roman Polanski, 35, born August 18, 1933, was in London, leaving Sharon with friends. Jay Sebring, 35, born October 10, 1933, her ex-fiancé and a celebrity hairstylist, sipped wine in the living room. his dark hair slicked back. Abigail Folger, 25, born August 11, 1943, a coffee heiress, read a book on the couch, her glasses slipping. Wojtek Frykowski, 32, born December 22, 1936, a Polish writer, sprawled beside her, high on cocaine. And Stephen Parent, 18, and Team Parent, born February 12, 1951. A visitor stood by the door, ready to leave, his red AMC Ambassador parked outside. The air smelled of jasmine and cigarette smoke. The record player spinning the Beatles' White Album. Charles Manson, 34, born November 12, 1934. A wiry ex-con with wild brown hair and a swastika later carved into his forehead. Wasn't there but had sent his family, a cult of drifters he'd brainwashed with LSD, sex, and apocalyptic rants, to kill, believing it would spark helter-skelter. A race war he'd preached at Spawn Ranch, a dusty movie set in Chatsworth. At 11:30 p.m., Charles Tex Watson, 23, born December 2, 1945, a lanky Texan with a vacant stare, led Susan Atkins, 21, born May 7, 1948, a dark-haired former topless dancer, Patricia Krenwinkel, 21, 1947, a shy brunette, and Linda Kasabian, 20, born June 21, 1949, a pregnant runaway, up the gated driveway. Manson had ordered, go to Terry Melcher's old house and kill everyone, angry that Melcher, a music producer who'd rejected his songs, once lived there. Tex cut the phone lines, snipping wires with a knife, the metal glinting. Wires with a knife, the metal glint. Stephen Parent, starting his car, saw them and begged, "Don't hurt me." Tex shot him 4 times with a .22 revolver, blood spraying the dashboard, Stephen's body slumping, his glasses cracking, blood pooling in the seat, and his heart stopping at 11:35 p.m. Linda, the lookout, stayed by the gate, her hands shaking, her baby kicking inside her. Inside, Tex kicked in the front door, the wood splintering, and shouted, "I'm the devil here to do the devil's work." Sharon screamed, her voice high, as Tex pointed the gun at Jay, who lunged, taking a bullet in the chest, blood soaking his shirt, falling to the carpet. Alice, no long more. Day tour. Susan and Patricia dragged Abigail and Wojtek from the couch, their knives flashing, blood already on their hands from sharpening them at the ramp. Wojtek, dazed, fought back, but Tex stabbed him, the blade slicing his thigh, blood gushing, his screams muffled as Patricia stabbed his back. 51 times total, his body collapsing, blood flooding the rug, his cocaine-high heart slowing. Abigail ran to the pool, her nightgown torn, but Susan caught her, stabbing 28 times, her blood mixing with chlorine, her glasses shattered, her body limp in the grass. Sharon, tied with a rope around her neck, begged, "Please, my baby." Susan stabbed her 16 times, her pregnant belly pierced, blood soaking the bed, her blonde hair matted with red, her eyes open, lifeless by 11:50 p.m. Tex carved pig in her blood on the door, the letters dripping, the air thick with copper and fear. On August 9th at 1:00 a.m., the killers drove to Waverly Drive, targeting Leno LaBianca, 44, born August 6, 1925, a supermarket owner, and his wife, Rosemary, 38, born December 15, 1930, a dress shop owner. Manson, now with them, broke into their Spanish-style home, waking Leno, who was reading in his pajamas, and Rosemary, in a blue night Stuart Tate, 26, born January 24, 1943, a blonde actress, 8 months pregnant with her first child. Lounged on her bed in her blonde hair loose, her belly round, blood pulsing through her veins. Her husband, director Roman Polanski, 35, born August 18, 1933, was in London, leaving Sharon with friends. Jay Sebring, 35, born October 10, 1933, her ex-fiancé and a celebrity hairstylist, sipped wine in the living room, his dark hair slicked back. Abigail Folger, 25, born August 11, 1943, a coffee heiress, read a book on the couch, her glasses slipping. Wojtek Frykowski, 32, born December 22, 1936, a Polish writer, sprawled beside her, high on cocaine. And Stephen Parent, 18, born February 12, 1951, a visitor, stood by the door, ready to leave, his red MC Ambassador parked outside. The air smelled of jasmine and cigarette smoke, the record player spinning the Beatles' White Album. Charles Manson, 34, born November 12, 1934, a wiry ex-con with wild brown hair and a swastika later carved into his forehead, wasn't there but had sent his family, a cult of drifters he brainwashed with LSD, sex, and apocalyptic rants, to kill, believing it would spark helter-skelter. A race war he'd preached at Spawn Ranch, a dusty movie set in Chatsworth. At 11:30 p.m., Charles Tex Watson, 23, born December 2nd, 1945, a lanky Texan with a vacant stare, led Susan Atkins, 21, born May 7, 1948, a dark-haired former topless dancer, Patricia Krenwinkel, 21st, 1947, and Linda Kasabian, 20, born June 21st, 1949, a pregnant runaway up the gated driveway. Manson had ordered, go to Terry Melcher's old house and kill everyone, angry that Melcher, a music producer who'd rejected his songs, once lived there. Tex cut the phone lines, snipping wires with a knife, the metal glinted. Stephen Parent, starting his car, saw them and begged, don't hurt me. Tex shot him 4 times with a .22 revolver. Blood spraying the dashboard. Stephen's body slumping, his glasses cracking, blood pooling in the seat. His heart stopping at 11:35 p.m. Linda, the lookout, stayed by the gate, her hands shaking, her baby kicking inside her. Inside, Tex kicked in the front door, the wood splintering, and shouted, I am the devil, here to do the devil's work. Sharon screamed, her voice high, as Tex pointed the gun at Jay, who lunged, taking a bullet in the chest, blood soaking his shirt, falling to the carpet. Die, lad, said. Susan and Patricia dragged Abigail and Wojtek from the couch, their knives flashing, blood already on their hands from sharpening them at the ramp. Wojtek, dazed, fought back, but Tex stabbed him, the blade slicing his thigh, blood gushing, his screams muffled as Patricia stabbed his back, 51 times total, his body collapsing, blood flooding the rug, his cocaine-high heart slow. Abigail ran to the pool, her nightgown torn, but Susan caught her, stabbing 28 times, her blood mixing with chlorine, her glasses shattered, her body limp in the grass. Sharon, tied with a rope around her neck, begged, "Please, my baby." Susan stabbed her 16 times, her pregnant belly pierced, blood soaking the bed, her blonde hair matted with red, her eyes open, lifeless by 11:50 p.m. Tex carved pig in her blood on the door, the letters dripping, the air thick with copper and fear. On August 9th, at 1:00 a.m., the killers drove to Waverly Drive, targeting Lino LaBianca, 44, born August 6, 1925, a supermarket owner, and his wife, Rosemary, 38, born December 15, 1930, a dress shop owner. Manson, now with them, broke into their Spanish-style home, waking Lino, who was reading in his pajamas, and Rosemary in a blue nightgown. Manson tied them up, his .38 revolver pressed to Leno's head, promising they'd live if they stayed quiet. He left, ordering Tex, Patricia, and Leslie Van Houten, 19, born August 23, 1949, a former homecoming queen, to kill. Tex stabbed Lino 12 times, his chest and stomach torn, blood pooling on the hardwood, a fork stabbed into his abdomen, the word war carved on his skin, his blood crusting the time. Rosemary, hearing Lino's screams, fought, but Patricia and Leslie stabbed her 41 times, her back and neck shredded, blood soaking her nightgown, her body falling in the bedroom, her dark hair tangled with red. They wrote death to pigs and helter-skelter and blood on the walls, misspellings smeared, the fridge door dripping red. Linda drove them back to Spawn Ranch by 3:00 a.m., blood on their jeans, knives tossed in a canyon. By August 10th, police arrived at Cielo Drive, called by a maid, Winifred Chapman, 50, born 1919, who found the bodies, blood dried on the walls, Sharon's baby still in her womb, dead. Detective Michael McGann, 40, born 1929, gagged at the stench, noting 102 stab wounds across the victims, blood trails from the living room to the loft. At Waverly Drive, a neighbor found the LaBiancas, Leno's fork wound oozing, Rosemary's body cold, 67 stab wounds total. The city panicked, headlines screaming, Manson cult slaughter, the Los Angeles Times selling out. Manson, at Spawn Ranch, laughed, telling his followers, 30 drifters, mostly women, high on LSD, helter-skelter's coming. Susan bragged, licking blood off her fingers, per her later jail confession. Linda, horrified, fled the ranch on August 12th, hiding in a hippie commune, her hands clean but her dreams bloody. On October 12th, 1969, police raided Spawn Ranch for stolen cars, arresting Manson and 20 others, finding knives and guns, bloodstains on a bus they lived in. Susan in jail told cellmate Virginia Graham, 35, born 1934, about the murders, boasting, "We got 5 pigs." Virginia, scared, told the police, leading to charges on November 18th. The trial began July 24th, 1970, in Los Angeles Superior Court. Judge Charles Older, 50, born 1920, presiding. Prosecutor Vincent Bugliosi, 35, born August 18, 1934, showed jurors blood-stained ropes, Texas revolver, and photos of Sharon's slashed belly, blood pooled under her. Susan carved an X on her forehead, Manson copying her, their eyes wild, chanting in court, Charlie's God. Linda, granted immunity, testified, sobbing, I saw Sharon's blood, her baby. Bugliosi argued Manson brainwashed them, using helter-skelter lyrics to incite murder, his voice hypnotic, promising a race war where they'd rule. Defense lawyer Irving Kanarek, 50, born 1920, claimed no proof Manson stabbed anyone, but jurors saw his control, his followers' blank stares. On January 25, 1971, Manson, Tex, Susan, Patricia, and Leslie were convicted of 7 first-degree murders, sentenced to death on March 29, later commuted to life in 1972 when California banned the death penalty. Los Angeles mourned. Sharon's sister, Deborah Tate, 16, born 1952, leaving flowers at Cielo Drive, the mansion razed later, bloodstains gone but memories raw. The family scattered, some arrested, others vanishing into communes. Manson, in Corinth State Prison, ranted to reporters, his beard gray, eyes still burning, I'm the king of chaos. Susan, in Chowchilla Prison, wrote letters. The city locked its doors, Hollywood's glamour dimmed, the Hollywood Reporter calling it the end of the 60s. Manson, now 84, died in prison on November 19, 2017. His name forever tied to the blood on Cielo Drive. As this horror grips Los Angeles, another darkness stirs in a nearby desert town. On July 1st, 2021, in Windsor, Wisconsin, a quiet suburb of 7,000, Chandler Michael Halderson, 23, born March 15, 1998, sat in the basement of his parents' 4-bedroom home at Oak Spring Circle, a house they'd bought for $360,000 in 2014. Chandler, a tall, lanky former Eagle Scout with short, trendy hair, wore a gray hoodie and jeans, his eyes glued to his gaming laptop, fingers tapping as he played Escape from Tarkov. The basement smelled of damp concrete and old gym equipment, a cluttered space with Bart's desk in one corner, papers stacked neatly. Upstairs, his father, Bart Halderson, 50, born April 22, 1971, an accountant with a steady job, typed on his laptop, his glasses slipping down his nose. His mother, Krista Halderson, 53, born June 14, 1968, a client service manager at an insurance company, was out running errands, her blue blouse bright against the summer sun. Chandler's parents thought he was a success, a soon-to-graduated student at Madison Area Technical College, working at a big insurance firm, volunteering on a police scuba team, and even hired for a dream job at SpaceX in Florida. But it was all a lie. Chandler had flunked out of college after one semester in 2019, faking emails and forging documents to fool his parents, terrified they'd find out he was a fraud living off their support. At 2:10 p.m., Bart's phone buzzed with a text to Chandler. I'm ready whenever you are. They had a 3:00 p.m. meeting at Madison College to verify his enrollment, a meeting Bart set up after calling the school, pretending to be Chandler and learning the truth. No classes, no degree, no SpaceX. Chandler's heart raced, his lies unraveling. He couldn't face the shame. At 2:50 p.m., he grabbed a 20-inch Skaze rifle, a gift from his friend Andrew Smith, a gamer he'd met online in Germany. The rifle, cold and heavy, felt familiar from their hunting trips. Bart sat at his desk in the basement, back to Chandler, reviewing tax files, unaware of the danger. Chandler aimed at his father's back, his hands steady, and fired 3 shots. The blasts echoed, blood spraying across the concrete floor, splattering the desk and papers. Bart's body slumped forward, his khaki stained red, skull shattered by bullets, his glasses cracking as they hit the floor. Blood pooled under the chair, thick and dark, the air sharp with gunpowder. Chandler stood frozen, the rifle warm, his father's body still. At 3:05 p.m., Chandler grabbed Bart's phone, texting Krista. Dad's phone died. Bring soda. He needed time, knowing she'd be home soon. Krista pulled into the driveway at 4:30 p.m., her blonde hair tied back, carrying a grocery bag with Diet Coke. She called out, "Chandler, where's your dad?" as she headed to the basement. Chandler, waiting in the shadows, gripped a hand axe from the garage, its blade dull but heavy. As Krista stepped onto the concrete, he swung, striking her temple. He swung. Blood gushed, her scream cut short as she collapsed, her blue blouse soaking red, her skull fracturing under the blow. He hit again, blood splattering the walls, her blonde hair matting with gore. A knife wound on her thigh from a second weapon he grabbed, a kitchen knife, slicing as she fell. Her body twitched, then stilled, blood pooling around her head, mixing with Bart's on the floor. Chandler's mind raced. He dragged Bart's body upstairs to the living room fireplace, blood smearing the carpeted stairs, a red trail marking his path. He stuffed Bart's body into the hearth, hoping to burn it away. The fire roared, but the glass door shattered under the heat, leaving over 50 bone fragments, skull pieces, teeth, a dental cap. Scattered in the ashes, the smell of charred flesh filling the house. Krista's body followed, blood dripping as he hauled her up. But the fire couldn't destroy them fully. Back in the basement, he grabbed a hacksaw, pruning shears, and a bow saw from the garage, tools his dad used for yard work. On the concrete floor, he dismembered them, blood pooling in the drain, sawdust sticking to wet flesh. He sawed Bart's torso, arms, and head, blood oozing from jagged cuts, the hacksaw blade catching on bone. Krista's legs came next, right thigh to foot, left knee, the saw marks uneven, blood dripping as he worked, his hands slick, the air heavy with iron. He wrapped the parts in a blue tarp, bought the next day, July 2nd, at Ace Hardware, along with 20 pounds of ice from a quick trip, his neck brace a prop for a fake concussion. On July 3rd, Chandler drove his Subaru Impreza to a farm in Cottage Grove, owned by his girlfriend Catherine Cat Mellender's family, a 19-year-old he'd met in high school. He backed into a wooded area, hatch open, and dumped Bart's torso, blood seeping through the tarp, leaves sticking to the plastic. On July 5th, he scattered Krista's legs near the Wisconsin River in Roxbury, a fishing spot he loved. The blood dried on her skin, bones exposed where animals had gnawed. He cleaned the basement with bleach, the drain clogged with blood and tissue, but missed spots on the walls, red stains glaring under the fluorescent light. He hid the saws and shears in a rusty oil drum at the farm, tossing the rifle nearby, its barrel still smelling of gunpowder. On July 2nd, Krista didn't show up for work, worrying her co-worker, Daniel Croninger, a family friend who'd known her for years. He drove to the house, knocking at 10:00 a.m. Chandler answered, calm, wearing the same hoodie, saying, "Mom and Dad went to our White Lake cabin with some couple for the 4th. Daniel, uneasy, noticed Krista's car in the garage, Bart's truck untouched. He pushed Chandler to call police, but Chandler shrugged, saying, "They'll be back." Daniel left, his gut twisting. On July 7th, Chandler called the Dane County Sheriff's Office, claiming his parents never returned from the cabin. His voice flat. Detectives Sabrina Sims and Brian Shunk arrived, checking the cabin 90 miles away. It was empty, no signs of travel, both cars still at home. The detectives eyed Chandler, his story shaky, his neck brace back on for show. On July 8th, a Cottage Grove resident called police, reporting a man in a Subaru near the woods, acting strange. Deputies searched, finding Bart's torso in the tarp, bullet wounds clear, bones gnawed by animals, blood crusted in the folds. DNA confirmed it was Bart, his body dumped like trash. Chandler was arrested that day for lying about the cabin, his bond set at $1 million net. On July 14th, a neighbor tipped off police about Chandler's fishing trips to Roxbury, and Kat handed over her phone, her Snapchat showing Chandler's location by the Wisconsin River on July 3rd. Police found Krista's legs scattered in the brush, bones bleached by the sun, blood long dried, DNA matching her. Kat, shaken, swore she knew nothing. Her texts to Chandler full of love, unaware of his lies. The house search on July 9th revealed horror. Blood stained the basement floor, walls, and drain, confirmed as Bart and Krista's, the concrete etched with red. The fireplace held bone fragments, teeth glinting in the ash, and a dental cap proving Bart's identity. In the Cottage Grove woods, police found the oil drum with the hacksaw, shears, and broken bow saw. Blood caked on the blades, and the rifle, its stock scratched. Chandler's laptop showed Google searches from July 8th about a decades-old dismemberment case, his panic clear. He'd sent fake emails from Madison College and the insurance company to Bart, claiming he was enrolled and employed, even forging a SpaceX offer letter, all found on his hard drive. The community reeled, flowers and notes piling up outside the Halderson home, teddy bears for Bart and Krista, who'd coached Little League and hosted barbecues. Windsor's quiet streets buzzed with shock, neighbors whispering, he seemed so normal. On September 1st, 2021, Chandler pleaded not guilty to 2 counts of first-degree intentional homicide, mutilating and hiding corpses, and lying to police. His trial began January 4, 2022. In Dane County Circuit Court, prosecutors William Brown and Andrea Raymond showed jurors the fireplace bones, Ace hardware footage of Chandler buying the tarp, and Kat's Snapchat pinning him at the river, Bart's last text, "I'm ready whenever you are," flashed on the screen, proving he'd caught Chandler's lies. The fake emails were read aloud, jurors shaking their heads at the SpaceX scam. Krista's legs, Bart's torso, the blood-stained tools. Photos filled the courtroom, jurors wincing at the gore, blood splattered across every image. Defense attorney Catherine Dorrell argued no one saw Chandler pull the trigger or swing the axe, suggesting he found them dead in panic, hiding the bodies to avoid suspicion. But the blood in the basement, the tools, the tarp, all pointed to him. After 2 hours, jurors convicted him on all 8 counts on January 20th, 2022. On March 17th, Judge John Hyland sentenced him to life without parole, calling him a danger to society. His brother, Mitchell, 24, born 1997, sobbed in court, saying, "He took my whole family," his voice breaking as he clutched a photo of Bart and Krista smiling at a Packers game. Chandler, locked in Dodge Correctional Institution, sits in silence, his parents' blood on his hands, their love betrayed by his lies. As this nightmare grips Windsor, another shadow falls over a nearby suburb. Another shadow falls over a nearby suburb. On October 31st, 2002, in São Paulo, Brazil, the clock struck midnight in the wealthy Brooklyn neighborhood, where a 2-story mansion stood at 400,000 reais, its white walls gleaming under streetlight. Inside, Suzanne Louise von Richthofen, 18, born November 3rd, 1983, sat in the living room, her blonde hair loose, wearing a black hoodie and jeans. Her parents, Manfred Albert von Richthofen, 49, born February 3rd, 1953, a German-born engineer, and Marisia von Richthofen, 50, a psychiatrist of Lebanese-Italian descent, slept upstairs in their king-sized bed, unaware of the horror coming. Suzanne's boyfriend, Daniel Cravinhos de Paula e Silva, 21st, born 1981, and his brother, Christian Cravinhos, 26, born 1976, waited outside, faces hidden under dark caps, gripping iron bars. Suzanne, a law student at the prestigious Pontifical Catholic University, had planned this for months, driven by her parents' disapproval of Daniel, a middle-class air modeling teacher, and her hunger for their wealth, estimated at 5.5 million reais, plus 2 secret Swiss bank accounts possibly holding 10 million euros, opened in her name when she turned 18. At 12:15 a.m., Suzanne crept to the alarm panel by the front door, her fingers trembling as she punched in the code to disable it, the green light flickering up. She opened the heavy wooden door, letting Daniel and Christian slip inside, their sneakers silent on the marble floor. The house was dark, the only sound the faint hum of the fridge. Suzanne stayed downstairs, her heart pounding as the brothers climbed the spiral staircase, their shadows long against the cream walls. In the master bedroom, Manfred lay on his back, snoring softly, his gray hair messy, glasses. Marisia slept beside him, her dark hair fanned on the pillow, a silk nightgown clinging to her. Daniel raised his iron bar, its cold metal glinting in the moonlight through the window, and swung it down on Manfred's head. The crack echoed, blood spraying across the white sheets, Manfred's skull fracturing, his body jerking once before going still, blood pooling under his head, soaking his pajama collar red. Christian struck Marisia, the bar smashing her temple, blood gushing onto her face, her eyes opening briefly in shock before closing forever. Her skull caved in, blood dripping to the hardwood floor. To ensure death, they wrapped towels around their necks, strangling them, the fabric biting into skin, leaving red marks, their bodies limp. Suzanne paced downstairs, biting her nails, the grandfather clock ticking loudly. The brothers came down, blood splattered on their gloves, Daniel's face pale, but eyes hard. They staged a robbery, tossing drawers open, scattering papers, Manfred's engineering blueprints, Mauritius patient files across the floor. They left a gold watch, cell phones, and a pistol in a drawer. Items real burglars would have taken, but grabbed a stash of cash, 36,000 rial in US dollars and euros, hidden in a safe. Suzanne handed them a bag, her hands steady now, and they slipped out at 1:00 a.m. She drove Daniel to a motel in her silver Volkswagen Golf, checking in at 1:30 a.m. to build an alibi. Their bodies pressed close in the dim room, the TV flickering. At 2:50 a.m., Suzanne picked up her brother, Andreas, 15, born 1987, from a friend's house, his lanky frame slouched in a hoodie. They returned home at 3:00 a.m., Suzanne screaming when she found her parents, blood soaking the bed, their faces unrecognizable, brains exposed through shattered skulls. Andreas froze, his blue eyes widened, vomit rising as he saw the gore. Vomit rising as he saw the gore? Suzanne called Daniel, who called the police at 3:15 a.m., sobbing about a break-in, his voice cracking for effect. Police arrived at 3:45 a.m., red lights flashing, neighbors peeking from windows. Officer Paulo Mendes, 35, born 1967, stepped into the blood-soaked bedroom, the air thick with iron. He noted the open drawers but untouched valuables. The alarm off, no forced entry. Suzanne in tears hugged Andreas, her face buried in his shoulder, but her eyes dry. When police looked closer, detectives Ana Ribeiro, 40, born 1962, and Carlos Silva, 38, born 1964, questioned them. Andreas, shaking, said he was at a friend's. Suzanne claimed she and Daniel were at the motel, her voice steady despite her red eyes. By November 2nd, police shadowed them, noticing Suzanne swimming in the mansion's pool with Daniel the day after the murder, laughing, her bikini bright against the water. On November 5th, she partied at a club for her 19th birthday, hours after her parents' funeral, dancing with Daniel, her smile wide as Andreas sat alone, head down, at the cemetery, dirt still fresh on the graves. On November 6th, police learned Christian bought a Yamaha motorcycle with 36 crisp $100 bills, far beyond his mechanic's salary. Detectives searched the mansion again, finding blood traces on the stairs, missed by Suzanne's cleaning, and a bloody towel in the laundry, DNA matching Mauritius. On November 9th, they arrested Suzanne, Daniel, and Christian at a diner. Suzanne's coffee untouched, her face blank. In interrogation, Suzanne confessed at 2:00 p.m., her voice cold, admitting she planned it because her parents banned Daniel, calling him beneath her. She wanted their money to live freely with him, expecting to inherit millions. Daniel, said Suzanne, pushed him, claiming Manfred abused her, though Andreas denied this, saying their father was strict but kind. Christian admitted striking Mauritius, his hands shaking as he described the blood. The community reeled, flowers piling up outside the mansion, neighbors whispering. They seemed so happy. The press swarmed. TV cameras filming the blood-stained bed, headlines screaming, "Rich girl kills parents for love and money." On June 5th, 2006, the trial began in São Paulo's Court of Justice. 5,000 people vying for 80 seats, crashing the court's website. Prosecutor Roberto Tardelli, 45, born 1957, showed jurors the iron bars, crusted with blood and hair, and photos of the bedroom, blood splattered like paint, Manfred's skull in pieces, Mauritia's face caved in. Mauritia's face caved in. Suzanne's lawyer, Mauro Ottavio Nassif, 50, born 1952, argued she was manipulated by Daniel, a victim of a toxic relationship, her parents' marriage troubled, Manfred strict, Mauritia distant, but no proof of abuse or alcoholism surfaced. Autopsies showing no alcohol in their systems. Suzanne testified, her blonde hair pulled back, voice soft, claiming she loved her parents but felt trapped. Daniel and Christian pointed at her, saying she planned every detail, from disabling the alarm to staging the robbery. Jurors saw Suzanne's pool photos, her birthday party video, her smile chilling. On July 22, 2006, after 5 days, Suzanne was convicted of 2 counts of first-degree murder, sentenced to 39 years and 6 months. Daniel got 39 years, Christian 38, all for homicidio qualificado, Brazil's term for premeditated murder. The courtroom gasped. Andreas, now 19, sobbing, left to live with an aunt. Suzanne went to Tremembé's women's prison, her cell small, concrete walls cold. A single bunk. Daniel and Christian were sent to separate men's facilities, their faces grim in mugshot. The case gripped Brazil, books like Richthofen, O Assassinato dos Pais de Suzanne, published in 2011. Movies like The Boy Who Killed My Parents, released on Prime Video, showing Suzanne's view. Neighbors called them the Doriana family, perfect on the outside, broken within. Manfred, a director at Terza, had worked on São Paulo's Rodoanel Highway, his office tidy, his laugh warm, according to friends. Mauritia's psychiatry practice helped troubled teens, her desk full of patient thank you notes. Suzanne, fluent in 3 languages, was their pride. Her law school grades high until Daniel, who taught aeromodeling to Andreas, entered her life in 1999. Their affair, intense and secret, sparked fights, Manfred locking Suzanne's door at night, Mauritia begging her to focus on school. Suzanne, released on parole in 2023, now 39, lives quietly in Bragança Paulista, pregnant with her first child. Her name changed to Suzanne Louise Magnani Muniz, forever tied to the blood in that mansion. As this tragedy scars São Paulo, another darkness stirs in a nearby city. On February 14, 1995, in Oceanside, California, the sun set over a quiet apartment complex on Arthur Avenue, where Sally Marie McNeil, 34, born September 30, 1960, stood in the kitchen of her second-floor apartment, 1960. Her muscles tense under a black tank top, her blonde hair pulled back in a messy bun. A former Marine sergeant and competitive bodybuilder, Sally, known as Killer Sally in the wrestling world, gripped a 12-gauge shotgun, its cold metal heavy in her hands. Her husband, Ray McNeil, 29, born December 17, 1965, a black bodybuilder, and Mr. California, 1991, stood in the living room, his 250-pound frame filling the space, veins bulging from his arms, sweat on his brow from an argument that had boiled over. Their 2 children from Sally's first marriage, Shantina 11, born 1984, and John 9, born 1986, were in their bedrooms, the walls thin, the yelling loud. The apartment, a $900 a month rental, smelled of protein shakes and gym bags, weights scattered in a corner. Sally and Ray, married since 1987, were bodybuilding's power couple, but their love, sparked in a Camp Pendleton gym, was now a battlefield of jealousy, steroids, and violence. At 8:30 p.m., Valentine's Day, Ray came home late, his gym bag slung over his shoulder, his eyes avoiding Sally's. She'd suspected he was cheating again, this time with a woman named Mary Ann Myers, a blonde from the gym, seen whispering with Ray at competitions. Sally, fueled by decaduraboline, steroids she bought in Tijuana, felt her pulse race, her muscles tight. "Where were you, Ray?" she shouted, her voice sharp, hands on hip. Ray, high on 5 steroids, including testosterone, snapped back. "None of your business, Sal." His voice boomed, his fists clenched, his face inches from hers. Sally's mind flashed to past fights, Ray choking her 3 days after their wedding, his fist breaking her nose in 1990, a rib cracked in 1993, her lung punctured once when she fought back. Shantina had seen Ray hit Sally, his hands around her throat, her gasps waking the kids. Tonight, Sally felt the fear again, her body bruised from a fight 2 days ago when Ray slammed her against the fridge, her shoulder still sore, a purple mark looming under her sleeve. At 9:00 p.m., Ray stepped closer, his breath hot, yelling, "You're nothing without me." Sally, 5'2" and 150 pounds of muscle, backed into the kitchen, her eyes darting to the shotgun on the counter. Kept for protection when Ray was away at competitions. She'd been arrested before, once for beating a woman she thought was Ray's lover at a 1990 contest, another time for smashing a car window in a rage. Tonight, her fear mixed with anger, her heart pounding as Ray loomed, his fists raised, his voice a growl. "You want to start something." Sally grabbed the shotgun, her hands shaking, and yelled, "Stay back, Ray!" He laughed, stepping forward. "You won't do it." Shantina, hearing the shouts, peeked from her room, her brown eyes wide, seeing her mom aim the gun. At 9:15 p.m., Sally fired, the blast deafening, buckshot tearing into Ray's abdomen, blood spraying across the beige carpet, his body stumbling back, crashing into the coffee table, glass shattering. He clutched his stomach, blood pouring through his fingers, his white tank top soaked red, his breath ragged. Sally, trembling, reloaded, the shell clicking into place, her mind blank, but for fear he'd get up, his strength unstoppable. She fired again, the second shot hitting his jaw, blood and bone fragments splattering the wall, his body collapsing, eyes open, blood pooling under his head, the room thick with gunpowder and iron. Shantina screamed, running to a neighbor's apartment, banging on the door. "Help!" My mom shot Ray. John stayed frozen in his room, curled on his bed, hands over his ears. Sally dropped the gun, her hands slick with sweat, and called 911 at 9:18 p.m., her voice shaking. "I shot my husband. He was beating me." Police arrived at 9:25 p.m., sirens blaring, red lights flashing across the complex. Officer Mark Ortiz, 32nd, born 1963, stepped into the chaos, blood soaking the carpet, Ray's body still, his abdomen torn open, jaw shattered, blood dripping to the floor. Paramedics rushed Ray to Scripps Memorial Hospital, his pulse weak, blood loss critical. Sally, in handcuffs, her tank top spotted with blood, was taken to the Oceanside police station, her eyes blank, muscles tense. Ray died at 11:30 p.m., his liver shredded, jawbone in pieces, 5 steroids in his blood, his bodybuilding dreams dead at 29. At the station, Sally, without a lawyer, talked all night, her voice steady but low. He was going to kill her. I was scared. She described years of abuse. Ray choking her, punching her, raping her when she refused sex. His fists leaving bruises on her arms, legs, face. She'd stayed, thinking she could fix him. Her Marine toughness making her believe she could handle it. Her kids backed her up. Shantina telling police he hit Mom all the time. John nodding, tears in his eyes. But Sally tested positive for decadurabolin, and her past arrests, violent outbursts at competitions, fights with Ray in public, painted her as aggressive, not a victim. On February 15th, police charged her with second-degree murder, her bail set at $100,000, paid by wrestling clients who saw her as a hero, a strong woman fighting back. The community split. Some left flowers outside the apartment. Others whispered, "She's a monster, too strong to be scared." The press swarmed, calling her pumped-up princess, headlines screaming. Brawny bride kills bodybuilder, hubby, fueled by the OJ show. Simpson trials shadow, domestic violence, a hot topic. On February 14, 1996, Sally's trial began in San Diego Superior Court. The courtroom packed, TV cameras outside. Prosecutor Daniel Goldstein, 40, born 1955, showed the jury the shotgun blood still caked on the barrel, and photos of Ray's body, his abdomen a mess of blood and tissue, his face unrecognizable. He argued Sally planned it, reloading the gun proving intent, her strength, bench pressing 225 pounds, making her no victim. She wasn't afraid, she was angry, he said, pointing to her wrestling videos, Killer Sally flexing with the same shotgun. Defense attorney William Raphael, 45, born 1950, called it battered woman syndrome, saying Sally's fear was real after years of Ray's fists, his steroids fueling rages, breaking her bones, 5 over 8 years, including a rib and her nose. Shantina testified, sobbing. He choked Mom. I heard her gasping. A psychologist, Dr. Susan Miller, 50, born 1945, explained Sally's trauma, her Marine training and steroids, amplifying her fight-or-flight response, making her shoot to survive. But the jury, swayed by Sally's strength and the second shot, convicted her of second-degree murder on March 1st, 1996, sentencing her to 19 years to life at Chowchilla State Prison. Her cell grade, her bodybuilding days over. Sally's story spread, her wrestling fans mailing letters, calling her a survivor, while bodybuilding forums raged. Some saying Ray deserved better. Others, she had no choice. Oceanside mourned Ray, his Mr. California trophy, still on the gym's wall. But Sally's kids, sent to live with her mother in Allentown, Pennsylvania, wrote her weekly, Shantina drawing hearts, John asking, "When you coming home?" Mom, in 2003, the Ninth Circuit Court appealed her conviction, citing mishandled evidence, but the U.S. Supreme Court reinstated it in 2005. Her battered woman defense dismissed. Sally, paroled in 2020 at 59, moved to a quiet California town, her muscles softer, her hair gray, working as a personal trainer, her past a shadow. Sally, now 64, lives alone. Her children grown, haunted by the blood on her hands and the love she once felt for Ray. As this tragedy shakes Oceanside, another horror unfolds in a nearby coastal town. On December 26, 2007, in Shijiazhuang, China, a city of 10 million, Wei Chunhua, 28, born 1979, sat in her cramped apartment on Renmin Road. Her newborn daughter, Lena, born October 12, 2007. The one-room flat, costing 800 yuan a month, smelled of boiled rice and powdered milk. Wei, a seamstress with tired eyes and short black hair, mixed Sanlu infant formula in a bottle, its white powder swirling in warm water. Lena, wrapped in a red blanket, sucked hungrily, her tiny hands clutching the bottle. Wei trusted Sanlu, its blue cans stacked in every market, advertised as China's best for babies. Unknown to her, the milk was laced with melamine, a chemical used in plastics, added by farmers to dilute milk and fake higher protein levels, passing quality tests. By January 2008, Lena fussed more, her cries sharp, her urine cloudy, blood speckling her diaper. Wei, worried, took her to Shijiazhuang Children's Hospital, a grade building packed with parents. Dr. Li Mei, 45, born 1962, examined Lena, noting her fever and swollen kidneys, diagnosing early kidney stones, rare for a 3-month-old. Wei, confused, mentioned the Sanlu formula. Li frowned but said nothing, prescribing fluids and sending them home. By March 2008, Wei noticed Lena's weight dropping, her cheeks thin, her cries weak. She joined online chat rooms, finding other mothers. Liu Fang, 30, born 1978, from Beijing, and Zhang Wei, 27, born 1981, from Chuan, posting about sick babies, all fed Sanlu. Liu's son, born September 2007, had blood in his urine. Zhang's daughter, born November 2007, screamed during feedings, her belly hard. On May 20th, 2008, Wei posted on a parenting forum, furious, after learning Sanlu donated 1,000 cans of the formula she blamed for Lena's illness to orphans of the Sichuan earthquake, a 7.9 magnitude disaster that killed 69,000. Her post, titled "Sanlu Hurts, My Baby Went Viral," shared 10,000 times in hours, mothers demanding answers. That same day, Sanlu's board, led by chairwoman Tian Wenhua, 66, born 1942, met in a sleek office, glass walls reflecting Shijiazhuang's skyline. They knew of complaints, 300 by April, 1,200 by May, about kidney issues, but third-party tests ordered in April found no issues, melamine undetected due to outdated equipment. On August 1st, a lab in Guangzhou finally identified melamine, its nitrogen-mimicking protein, at 2,563 mg/kg in Sanlu's formula, far above the safe 1 mg/kg limit. enough to crystallize in tiny kidneys, causing stones, blood, and damage. On August 2nd, Sanlu's board met again, joined by Shijiazhuang's deputy mayor, Zhang Fuan, 50, born 1958, a stern man in a gray suit. Tian suggested a trade recall to wholesalers, but Zhang rejected it, his voice sharp. No recall until the Beijing Olympics end on August 24th. Pay the families to stay quiet. He promised police would hunt the perpetrators later, prioritizing China's global image. Sanlu wired 5,000 yuan to Wei, who refused it, her voice trembling on the phone. I want my daughter fixed, not money. By August 15th, Lena, now 10 months, weighed only 12 pounds, her kidneys failing, blood in her urine daily. Her cries barely audible. Wei took her back to the hospital, where Dr. Li admitted her, booking her to an IV, her tiny arm bruised, blood tests showing high creatinine levels, kidneys scarred. Across China, 54,000 babies were hospitalized, 300,000 affected, their parents flooding hospitals, clutching Sanlu cans, demanding justice. In Zhengzhou, a mother, Chen Hui, 29, born 1979, wailed as her son, born December 2007, underwent dialysis, his kidneys blocked by melamine stones, blood dripping into a catheter. On August 20th, Fonterra, a New Zealand dairy giant owning 43% of Sanlu, learned of the melamine in a tense boardroom meeting in Auckland. CEO Andrew Ferrier, 50, born 1958, alerted New Zealand's government, which contacted China's Ministry of Health on August 22nd. China's government, fearing panic during the Olympics closing, delayed action. Allowing delayed action. On September 13, 2008, the scandal broke. Xinhua News announcing Sanlu's formula was contaminated, causing severe kidney damage. Wei, watching TV, dropped her bowl. The report named 21 other companies, Yili, Mengniu, Yashili, also tainted their milk powders, yogurts, and drinks containing melamine, some at 1,200 mgk, others lower but still deadly. In Beijing, a father, Wang Tao, 35, born 1973, burned a Sanlu can in the street. His daughter, born October 2007, dead from kidney failure, her autopsy showing melamine crystals, blood in her bladder. By January 2009, 6 infants were confirmed dead, including a boy in Gansu, born August 2007, his kidneys shredded, blood poisoning his system, and a girl in Hunan, born September 2007, her heart stopping during surgery. Police raided Sanlu's Shijiazhuang factory on September 15, finding 2,000 tons of melamine-tainted powder, cans stacked floor to ceiling, workers in white masks silent. Tian Wenhua was arrested, her office desk littered with complaint letters, blood test reports ignored. Farmers like Zhao Ming, 40, born 1968, from Hebei, admitted adding melamine to diluted milk, paid 50 yuan per ton extra by middlemen, unaware it reached babies. On September 20th, China banned all Sanlu products, markets emptying shelves, parents dumping cans in alleys, the air sour with spilled milk. Wei, back at the hospital, sat by Lena's bed, her daughter's eyes dull, her growth stunted, her head small, doctors warning of brain damage, from toxins crossing the blood-brain barrier. By October, Wei joined 200 parents in a class action lawsuit against Sanlu, demanding 1 million yuan each. Their lawyer, Li Qiang, 38, born 1970, showing photos of babies on ventilators, blood in their diapers, kidneys swollen to twice normal size. On December 27, 2008, Sanlu declared bankruptcy. Its 1.1 billion yuan debt crushing Fonterra, writing off $200 million. Tian faced trial in Shijiazhuang People's Court on December 31st. The courtroom packed, parents shouting, "Murderer!" She pleaded guilty, her voice low, admitting she knew of complaints but followed Zhang's orders. Her hands shaking as she described signing hush money checks. On January 22, 2009, she got life in prison for endangering public safety, Zhang 5 years for negligence. 2 farmers' death sentences later executed, their confessions detailing melamine mixing in barns, milk cans stained yellow. Across China, 21 executives from Yili Mengniu and others faced jail, fines, or bans. Their factories shuttered, milk poured into gutters, the smell rotting under the sun. Wei, watching the verdict on TV, cried, her savings gone on Lena's bills. 50,000 yuan. By March 2009, her husband, Liu Gang, 30, born 1978, a taxi driver, working double shift. By 2012, Wei moved to Zhengzhou, a bigger city, hoping for better doctors. Lena, now 5, couldn't speak full sentences, her head smaller than other kids, her fingers fumbling with blocks, her mind stuck at a toddler's level. Wei met a TVNZ reporter, Sarah Chen, 35, born 1977, in a Zhengzhou hospital waiting room, the air heavy with antiseptic. Sarah filmed Lena, her smile wide but vacant, her eyes not focusing, her hands counting 2-3 slowly, kneading fingers. Doctors confirmed Lena's intellectual disability was permanent, her brain damaged by melamine, her IQ capped at a 6-year-old's. Wei, wiping tears, showed Sarah a photo of Lena at 1 month, chubby and giggling, now a frail girl needing help to eat. Sarah's report aired on TVNZ's Sunday, showing Lena's hospital bed, blood tests pinned to a board. Wei's voice breaking, Sanlu stole her future. By October 2021, Lena turned 14. Still silent, her smile unchanged. Wei sending Sarah a WeChat video. Lena waving, her fingers clumsy, her head lolling. Wei worked as a cleaner, her hands raw, saving for Lena's therapy, 2,000 yuan a month. Her husband gone, unable to cope. China tightened milk regulations by 2010, mandating melamine tests, jailing 60 more suppliers, banning 1,000 small dairies. Parents like Chen Hui, whose son survived but needed dialysis, formed support groups, meeting in Beijing parks, sharing photos of kids with scars from kidney surgeries, bloodstains on hospital gowns. The scandal left 300,000 families broken, some bankrupt, others mourning, their babies' graves marked with tiny stones. In Shijiazhuang, Sanlu's factory stood empty, windows smashed, cans rusting in heaps. The city's shame. Wei, alone with Lena, kept her daughter's Sanlu can. Its label faded, a reminder of the trust she lost. Wei, now 46, holds Lena's hand. Her daughter's silent smile, a wound that never heals. The milk scandal's poison lingering in their lives. As this tragedy scars Jingzhou, another horror unfolds in a northern city.